Hey, how are you?
Hey, Bill.
You look good considering what you must have been through.
Well, there are a lot of people here who are suffering real bad, so, it's hard for me to complain about anything.
I understand that, and I've seen you've done a yeoman's job out there, and I think what a lot of people are wondering, because you've been there since, the thing hit pretty much soon after, is how come you were able to get through, and Harry Connick Jr. was able to get through, and Campbell Brown was able to get through, but not the National Guard? What is the latest best excuse on that from the government?
Yeah, I don't know. It's called advanced planning, but yeah. I don't want to be too harsh. I mean, there are a lot of people here from the federal government who are working very hard. I've been out with search and rescue teams from Virginia, local firefighters who have come here. They're working with FEMA. And, they're pulling bodies out every day. And so the federal government is working. It is just, people just here are angry and, angry. And just the anger is just white hot. You can feel it. And every night we've been hearing politicians on television saying, well, I understand your frustration. And a man came up to me the other day and said, you know what? We're not frustrated. People aren't frustrated here. People are dead. And people are dying still in New Orleans. And, it goes much deeper than frustration. This cuts to the core, and people want answers, and they're not hearing answers to very basic questions about, was enough done ahead of the storm, and is enough being done right now? And I'm not hearing the answers. I don't think anyone else is.
And I think this frustration... This is the first time I have seen that level of frustration and that anger reflected in the people asking the questions, in you guys, in the press corps. And I'm wondering if there is not a bright lining in this, which is maybe because of this hurricane, we got our press corps back.
I think there are a couple things that are different. I mean, I don't think there are any bright linings, but I think there are a couple things that are different. I've spent a lot of time in Africa, in Sri Lanka after the tsunami, in Rwanda and the genocide, and there's been plenty of outrage on plenty of stories I've done. I think this is a story where you can actually see change happening the more questions you ask, and you're not just standing in a desert in the middle of nowhere, expressing outrage. People are actually listening, and the world is watching this story, and that is a very good thing. All these politicians all this week are saying, well, you know what? This is not the time to point fingers. This is not the time to, quibble about things. Well, you know what? When is the time? Because I'm happy to write it down in my engagement book and make an appointment. Because to me, the time is now when the world is watching, and there are a lot of questions that need answers, and you're standing here. And you can smell bodies in some parts of this small town of Mississippi. I've seen bodies being pulled out of the wreckage, and they're left there. They're left, a family of four I saw drowned in their living rooms. They couldn't afford to evacuate. They didn't want to evacuate because they were afraid of looters coming into their homes. And they've been sitting rotting in their living rooms for the last 5 days. And they were just pulled out this morning. They were just taken to a refrigerated truck. Well, I can't believe I'm in America.
I understand that. And but going back to what you said a minute ago about if this isn't the time when to ask these questions, I think a lot of people are thinking, yeah, but that's what we were saying about 9/11. That's what we were saying about the war in Iraq. Where was the press then to ask those kind of questions? Where was this kind of anger in the press corps? And maybe what we're seeing now is a little payback on the part of our press corps with politicians who they feel a little guilty that they didn't ask the tough questions to about those other events.
I hear the argument on the war in Iraq. I actually don't think, frankly, I don't agree with that too much. I mean, I think people were asking questions about WMD in Iraq. At a certain point, though, if the entire government and the entire intelligence agencies and every president previous to this president has been saying, yes, there are weapons here, we know this for sure, we have the intelligence, at a certain point, there's only so much you can, we couldn't travel in Iraq too freely under Saddam Hussein. There's only so many questions you can ask, and finally, if everyone is saying, well, yeah, there are these weapons there, there's only so much you can do. I'm not making excuses, although maybe it sounds like I am. I get, though, why, it's different now.
Look, you have my utmost respect. You guys on the ground there, you reporters there, not only did you get us this story in a great way, but as far as I'm concerned, you were the first responders, because I didn't see anybody else there. So please stay safe, and I thank you for joining us, Anderson Cooper. Thank you. All right, Anderson.